So we just received some new data on short interest for Sofi, and it looks like they are in full force. Short selling on Sofi is up pretty high, but not to a point that we are going to see any type of squeeze, so let's not get our hopes high. In this video, I'll share some details about the Sofi shorts, some numbers, and also a new research that came from Bloomberg talking about Sofi. This will be an interesting one. And as a gentle reminder, if you like content like this, then give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. And to get involved with a wonderful community, consider joining our Patreon and Discord. Links are in the description below. So now let me share some data, or the new data that just came out or came in today, where the short interest on Sofi is up by almost 6.7 million shares to a total of about 63 million shares. Take a look over here. So this is what just came today. And they're saying that the change in short interest is up by 6.7 million shares, and the total short interest on the shares, or total short interest shares, are about 63 million shares. Now, if you look what happened in the last few months, as you can see, this is the data all the way from May of 2021. And we can see that in May of 2021, we had about 23 million shares shorted. And then after that, it came all the way down to 11 million shares in July, or 26 July, when it was reported for 15 July, about 11 million shares shorted. And it's only one day to borrow. Then since then, we have seen over here, we have about 63 million shares shorted, and there is a total time to cover those shorts is about 2.13 days. The total short percentage is about 10.31, which is high, but not high enough for any kind of squeeze. I have seen this short interest, as a matter of fact, on Tattooed Chef right now, the short interest is about 90%. So that's like really, really high. And then squeeze can happen, but still, they're not always the case that we can see a squeeze like we saw with AMC or GameStop. So when I say that Sofi has 63 million shares, it's pretty straightforward. So what it means is that somebody like myself went to a bank, told them, you know what, I want to sell Sofi shares, but I don't have the Sofi shares in my account, but I would like to borrow from you. So what they do is they lend me the margin to basically borrow the shares of Sofi, and then that I can sell in the market. Now, I owe the bank the shares, but I don't have the shares. So what happened is, a day or two or three or a week, when the Sofi share is down, let's say 5 points or by 5% or something like that, then I will go ahead and buy the shares. Because I sold the shares, I received money in my bank. So with that borrowed money, what I can do is I can go and in the open market, buy the shares from the open market and basically give it back to the bank, keeping the difference. So let's say that I go to the market and I say Sofi is, let's say, trading at $14 today. I can go to my bank and say, you know what, I want to sell million shares of Sofi at $14 a share. They'll be like, okay, you need to have margin in your account. Okay, good, you have margin in your account. Now you can go ahead and sell these shares in the market. Now, I don't own the shares, bank does. So what I do is I went ahead and I sold those shares in the market for $14 a share, and I kept $1.4 million. Now, let's say after a day or so, Sofi is now trading at $13. What I can do now is that I can go in the open market and I can buy the shares back at $13 a share, a million shares. That's going to cost me $1.3 million. And I can go ahead and return that money over to the bank, making the difference between the two amounts. I sold the shares for $1.4 million, but I bought them back for $1.3 million, making $100,000 in this transaction. So my deal with the bank was for million shares. Now, I got paid $1.4 million, but when I bought, I had to pay $1.3 million. So I made about $100,000 in that transaction. That's what it means when they say that Sofi has about 63.29 million shares shorted. That means people are borrowing that kind of shares. And then when I took the screenshot, we had more borrowed shares. So total short interest right now is about 68.96 million share. But when it was reported yesterday for until December 31st, we had about 63.29 million shares, or about 10.31% short interest. Now, when the days to cover right here, the DTC that you see, when these dates to cover goes to like say 5 days, 6 days, 10 days, then it gets really, really hard for banks to basically cover the positions, or individuals or hedge funds to cover the positions. And that's when the short squeeze risk increases, when these days to cover increases and the short percentage also increases. So when that increases, this obviously is going to increase, because now we are talking about more and more share that is needed to cover these shorts. So now we know that more and more funds are shorting this stock, or it could be individuals, or it could be hedge funds, are shorting this stock very aggressively. And I would say that, you can see that from 56 million, they jumped to 63 million, and right now they're estimating about 68.96 million. We are talking about almost 10 plus million shares that are shorted in short period of time. And for more proof how this is happening, take a look at the order flow book. And as you can see over here, it's not individual or one individual sitting and putting these prices in. Take a look over here, 1373, 74, 75, 76, every cent up there is a bid order, and then for the ask order we have every cent down. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3 all the way going down to about 27. And if you look at the volume that we have over here, we have 4,000 shares, we have 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. So these are all algos and robots or AIs are basically in place that are taking place, and they are the one making these transactions. Because the shares are shorted so much, they're keeping the price depressed or down so that they can make more money in their shorts. So this is nothing new for SoFi or for this sector. I mean, these kind of algos or these kind of short interest is very common, and as they say, people make money when the stock is going up, people make money when the stock is going down. For us retail investors, we don't have the fancy tools to basically put the algos to our work, and then they can suppress the stock by a cent, and they can actually create an order and make money even doing this all day long. Now, if we compare that to its peers, Benzinga is reporting that SoFi peers have about an average of 5.04% short interest, while SoFi is sitting on double that number. That means investors are more bearish on SoFi than its peers. Now, I personally feel that SoFi's short interest is just another way for suits to make money during this downturn and also the low sentiment times we have in the market, because company is doing great and have a bunch of catalysts coming in the next few months. But let's take a look at what Bloomberg just reported about SoFi. So according to Bloomberg, 2022 outlook is huge for SoFi's lending business, considering student loan deferrals will likely end by May. Originally was January 31st, but we know it was extended till May 31st. Also, lots of CEOs at big banks have been constructive on the consumer lending pickup. I mean, they really are trying to figure out the ways to increase their consumer lending book of business. So if active users and downloads of SoFi's banking super app continue to be bullish, Bloomberg expects that their contribution to the financial services segment to be more meaningful, and combined, these can generate 63% revenue growth this year, which is almost 13 percentage points above consensus. This is without counting any bank charter catalyst, and if they count bank charter, then that puts 2022 EBITDA more than 70% above the company's pre-license expectations. This is really bullish report, which I feel investors are missing, that this company has a massive year ahead of it. In my next video, I'll cover more details on the few major catalysts, and no, it's not the Super Bowl. We'll talk about some catalysts which is in very near term and could be very meaningful. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and also if you like today's video, then give it a thumbs up, and for one-on-one conversations, join our Discord and Patreon, links are in the description. As always, a pleasure to share all of this with you. Until next time, you all have a sparkling day.